Hey Internet, welcome back to What's the Points? It's been a busy travel summer so far and an equally busy credit card summer. So I think I'm a little late to the party on this Atmos change program for Alaska and for their new Summit Visa Infinite card. And so while everyone and their grandma has already done a review on this card, I wanted to come at it from the angle of why I actually am planning to close or downgrade my City Advantage Executive American Airlines card in favor of this Summit card, which I was just approved for. So, big favor, if that sounds good, please like, subscribe. So, I'll leave to my colleagues the finer points of the review, but suffice it to say, for those of us who are interested in one world status, this card makes it more accessible than it's ever been, in my opinion. And this is thanks to one superpower of this card, 10,000 status points each anniversary year. This is in comparison to the 20,000 loyalty points that you can get from the executive card. But the major difference there is that the executive card, you only get those when you've reached certain thresholds. So you have to hit first the 50,000 loyalty point threshold to get that first 10K bonus. Then you got to hit the 90K threshold to get that second bonus. By contrast, you get this automatically. So what does that mean? Well, for one thing, it means that you're already half the way towards silver status, the new name for the entry-level status with the Atmos program. That is, while that's also very helpful, it also, by contrast, it equalizes, in my opinion, the sort of total progress towards status that you get. So the 20,000, because basically, if you look at the different levels, for example, the first tier of AA status is at 40,000 loyalty points. By contrast, the first tier of the Atmos program, 20,000 status points. And the next level up, 75,000 loyalty points with AA to hit Advantage Platinum status, whereas the second tier with Atmos is at 40,000. So just starting with those first two levels, you can see the math here is roughly that one status point is worth roughly 2 AA loyalty points. So what does that mean? So the 10,000 loyalty point bonus that you get each year with this new Summit Visa card is roughly equivalent to the total bonus that you get with the Advantage Executive card without having to hit any thresholds. It's just automatic. So let's back up a second here. So, if you've watched some of my previous videos, you've seen that I do a mix of flying on Alaska and on AA. In addition, I also love both of these programs because of their partner award charts. And with both programs, you have access to amazing transcontinental business class flights with lots of different airlines. And you have the benefit of the flexibility of booking directly with that carrier, AA or Alaska. By contrast, when you use transferable points, you have to deal with the vagaries of the program that you transferred to, cancellation, change fees, expiration policies, and so forth. Depending on what you're looking for, sometimes AA miles can be a little bit more valuable. So that's kind of the one trade-off. Now, for me, that's counterbalanced by the fact that I live in an Alaska hub on the West Coast, and so I can always fly Alaska Metal, and they go to more places that I'm interested in going, generally speaking, than AA. Now, having said all that, I have flown AA more than Alaska this year because I have made several East Coast trips. And I don't know if that's going to continue to be the norm or not. But the reality is I'm in a major United hub, and I've been flying them more lately just because there are certain routes that I don't really have a practical choice for. What am I getting at? I can still book AA flights with Atmos. I can still earn AA miles. I don't need the executive card to do that. I can still use all the old ways, such as the shopping portal, the dining portal, Simply Miles. The only one that's really going to be affected by ditching the executive card is the 10x bonus that you get on AA hotels. But if you've been paying attention, I think you probably, like me, have noticed that for both Simply Miles and AA hotels, the pickings have never been more slim. The high value Simply Miles awards have just been much fewer this year than last year that I've observed. And that was the major differentiator, really, between earning status in these two programs. On top of that, now with these refinements that we've seen over this last year with Alaska, you can get credit for not only for award flights, but also partner award flights. So what this all adds up to is that while you could still make the case that maybe for non-flying spend, it's still a little bit easier to get status on AA, that with this new Atmos Summit card, between the boost that you get, and not to mention now, you also get 1 status point for every $2 spent, compared to their previous cards, which only get 1 point for every $3 spent. So by that same math, this now levels the playing field in terms of the progress towards loyalty per dollar spent is now the same, roughly speaking, between the Summit and between any of the AA cards, because those all get 1 loyalty point per dollar. So while it's not necessarily better, they've closed that gap. And so now if you have this card, you can have that help you out. You can use all of these other non-flying spend avenues to get status points. Next year, I have at least one big trip to Taipei, Taiwan, which I booked on Starlux, coming back, which is great because that's going to be the overnight leg. And that was for only 75,000 Alaska miles, which are now called Atmos points. I'm really going to have to get used to calling it that. But what does this all boil down to? Well, let's look at the annual fees, shall we? So we're at $395 for the Atmos Summit card. And with that, just a couple quick highlights. You get a 25,000 mile companion certificate, which is uncapped, so you can apply that as a discount to any size of Player 2's award, and it can be on partner airlines. So this is now really the best companion pass in the game. By contrast, I'm now about to have gone through 3 Delta companion passes that went unused, which is just tragic. Now, the existing Alaska $99 companion pass is pretty good, but obviously it can only be used on cash fares, it can only be used on Alaska Metal, and it can't be used on any of their new global destinations that are opening up. So as long as you make sure to have at least a certain balance of Alaska points in your account to use this, which, let's be honest, if you are not necessarily a frequent Alaska flyer, I think it's if you're a frequent One World flyer who uses Atmos points to book any kind of award travel, and you are earning a certain number of points per year, then you should be fine. But that is something to look at. If your account zeroes out, you might not get to use this benefit. But if you're at that point, I might make the argument that this probably isn't the card for you. If you're not playing the status game and you don't plan on always earning enough points each year that you can reliably use this card, then it's probably not worth it. And the last thing to look at too is the lounge access. Now this is the biggest differentiator, because as you know, the city executive card It gets you unlimited access to both American Airlines lounges and Alaska lounges. That's been great. And that's probably my one hesitation, because I'm looking at this and I'm saying, well, the Summit card, it gets 8 lounge passes per year, but you can only use 2 per quarter. And if you bring a guest, that uses one of them right there. So that means if you fly with a player 2, then you can only access the lounge 4 times a year. Do I need access more often than that? The short answer is no, I don't. There's a few reasons. One, the SFO airport has a lot of other good lounges that I have access to, and it has a pretty good priority pass lounge. There's not too many of them out there, but there's a club, and the Club SF, it's right near the Alaska lounge. And yeah, it gets a lot busier, but it's there if I need it. Got Centurion Lounge and no Capital One Lounge yet. That would be nice to see. But I'm not quite enough of a road warrior to say that, yeah, I need it. It's nice to have, but I haven't used it 8 times, even including the 2 times I brought a player 2 with in the last 12 months. I don't know what the exact count is, but I don't think it exceeds 8. $395 versus what's, $695. And what are you getting for that extra $300 AA side for the executive card? Well, what do you get? $10 a month Grubhub, $120 Avis credit towards prepaid rentals. And if you cancel a prepaid rental, you have to pay a $50 cancellation fee. So that benefits what? That's worth $70 a year, the way I look at it. Not much else. I don't know. Outside of the status benefit, you're paying for that unlimited lounge access. So if you need that, then yeah, it makes sense. But the way I'm looking at it right now, especially with these changes to the program, I feel like for roughly the same amount of effort, and most importantly, amount of total spend on flying and non-flying type activities, I'll be able to hit the second tier, hopefully the third tier of status next year. Whereas to do that with AAA, I mean, yeah, I could do that. Honestly, I'd rather have this card because it's a better card all around, even despite the annual fee differences, as long as you factor out the need for unlimited lounge access. Because I think it has a more flexible earning structure, especially now with getting 3 points per dollar on foreign purchases, which is huge if you're abroad a lot. It's a card that doesn't even force you to have to fly Alaska Metal in order to get great value out of it. So that's kind of where I'm at. Those are my initial thoughts on these changes and what that means for One World status and what that means for having yet another premium card in my setup. But now I finally have that push that I needed to switch over to Alaska for next year. So I am excited for that. And let's be honest, I like Alaska's product, their hard product. I enjoy flying Alaska more than I do American. And, I really love the changes they've made to their program. The only thing that could change this is if we see a major devaluation. But really, I think we're more likely to see a bigger devaluation with AA because they haven't changed their program in a long time. And while I know that between all of these new elevated offers and all the points, of course, that people transferred from Amex, while that was still open, I think you can make the argument that the market is flooded with Alaska/Atmos points. Maybe. But, now Citibank has added AA as a transfer partner. And so I don't think that bodes well for the likelihood of devaluation on the AA side. I think the writing's on the wall there. And yeah, devaluation is the name of the game in this hobby. And no one has a crystal ball. So, it makes sense not to be overly loyal and to set yourself up with a core credit card setup where you can pivot to changes as needed. And so, not having super niche, super expensive cards helps in that strategy. Anyway, hope this was helpful. Hope to hear from you. Ciao for now.